Hey everyone, today is July 25th, 2023, and the road here with the triangular grate is closed for some reason. I have no idea why, but we're gonna walk down here today. Google Maps says it's about a 28-minute walk, so we're gonna see what there is. It looks pretty worn down right here, so it looks like the gate may have been shut for a little bit. A lot of people having a walk around it. Well, I'm sure glad I came here because the other end is also gated where I usually drive in through on this logging / recreational road. And the other side, I would have had to walk nearly an hour. But I'm glad I came around this side because it's like half the time. The other side I didn't walk on because there's a big yellow sign saying that the road is closed to motorized vehicles and even pedestrians. They don't want you walking down here. Because it's Massachusetts, I'm assuming they're doing that for legal reasons. Maybe the road is washed out somewhere and they don't want you falling into it and getting sued, even though you walk down there on your own free will into the hole. But anyways, they did not put the sign on this side, which I was super surprised about. Why they wouldn't put it on this side, but there was no sign at this end of the road, so we're gonna take a half an hour walk down here. It's not the best day, and right now I'm realizing I probably should have put bug spray on, but I'm not gonna walk back. I see the road is flooded up here, and I absolutely called it. You guys heard me in my last video of the triangular grate. This is on the same road right here. I told you that their brand new beaver structure was the stupidest idea in the world. And it looks like I was right. I see a flood up here. So right now I got a lot of bugs flying around me. They're not the worst yet. At least they're not mosquitoes. It's just some fly that keeps landing on my head. But at least it's not a horse fly that would be biting. It's about 92 degrees right now. Pretty hot out, but I brought one drink with me. It's a good workout, I guess. The big high boots, I'm sure, will be filled with sweat by the time I get out of here. See this area next to the road? It's very flooded. The state of Massachusetts has mowed both sides of the road since we were here last month. I've never actually seen this part of the road flooded like this. Usually, maintenance is done enough. Usually I come out here enough to prevent this road from flooding over. But last time they decided to put a brand new beaver deceiver in, which was the stupidest idea in the world because the holes in the grate are big enough for the beaver to get through and access the pipe. Yeah, let me show you what's up here. Oh, this is a very interesting day. Just gonna put my things down, put the rake down. So we've always came out here and had an easy job. We just opened this grate up, allowing the water to go through. This water absolutely stinks, by the way. But what they did was, ooh, a frog. They cut a hole in the grate, put a smaller pipe right into it, going from that structure. The idea of this type of structure is the water enters it so slowly and gradually, the beaver doesn't notice it, and it gets to the pipe in the center. This structure, the diameter is way too small. Even when they installed it, I could see that the beaver was going to be a problem. You could see current going in there to the pipe. This structure should have had a diameter of at least 6 feet, maybe even more. It would go in so gradually, but guess what? Look how small the holes are. A big beaver won't get in there, but a lot of the smaller ones that help out, they can get right in there and plug the pipe. Not to mention any beaver can jam things through it, which they obviously did. Completely plugged the brand new structure. And that thing, you can't easily take that apart. And this grate right here, I don't believe we can even touch it because they have a big heavy cast iron pipe going from that right through this grate. They cut a hole in it. So that means you can't lift this thing up because there's a pipe going through it now. They really messed up here. I've seen these structures so many times fail. there is really no solution to get a beaver to just completely stop. You got to make a structure that takes a lot of time to clog up, and you have to do periodic maintenance. They should have put a big triangular grate here, but a modified one, because there's not really a wall. It would have to have a third side, which, you know, a third partial side that would sit here on the little hill, if you get what I mean. So this area is done now until they correct this. And the other side right here, we have never seen this before either. Usually we have a nice stream here. This whole area is backed up. The beavers created a dam down here now, which is causing the water to get up to the road. Not a problem, probably won't be a problem for a while. I don't know, this looks like a big open area, which means it's a big dam. It'll take a lot of time, but I'm amazed that this backed up this far in just a month. Has been raining a lot though. This is very stupid. Yep. So, I think I'll give it a little bit of a try, maybe on the walk back from the triangular grate. We'll try to get a little bit of water flowing, maybe get the water down and buy the road time, but they obviously know there's a problem. Do you think they really shut the road down for this stupid little flood? If they did, that's absolutely ridiculous if this is the reason. It might be. But I've driven through water over a foot deep on roads in Maine, and those were just left open at your own risk. But it's what happens when you're in a state where it's very easy to sue. That's kind of cool. I've never seen moose tracks in Massachusetts. It's one that walked down the road and walked back, or two different ones walking in other directions. There's a good amount of tire tracks here. Somebody is still coming up this road, whether they're the ones fixing it or the park rangers. This is a pretty cool, massive oak tree. It's good to see this area of the forest is recovering so nice. Back in the spring, it looked so weak. It took forever to fill in. But I guess all the rain this year has been doing wonders for the forest. This area was very stressed out for a while. And it wasn't the drought. It was the invasive gypsy moth caterpillars. Rain is their weakness. It causes a fungus to grow on their hairs, which kills them. If you have a rainy year, keeps the gypsy moths away. Dry year after dry year, their population booms where they defoliate the forest, eat every single leafy tree. Their favorites are oak and maple, and when those are gone, they even eat evergreens. Then when they're desperate, they'll go down and eat people's lawns. They'll make the entire area look bald like winter, but worse because the evergreens are bald also. This area has a good amount of water sitting, but I'm imagining this is normal. I think we've stopped here before. Entire bottom of this pond is orange from the iron bacteria. Look over on the other side. This tree just uprooted very recently. I see some orange bacteria over here. It might mean that there is a culvert pipe, but it's just so blocked, barely anything can go through it. But if we look around, there is no evidence of it crossing. Here we are at another area of sitting water. And a frog just got scared away. This looks like the water was crossing. Looks like a lot of mountain bike tracks coming up here since the last time it rained. We had a couple dry days finally. This area is recently flooded. See all the plants under the water? They wouldn't have grown there. But this area once again does not look like it has a functional pipe at all. See all the beautiful rock walls? This all used to be farmland before it became a watershed where they weren't allowed to have things like fertilizer, cows going to the bathroom, bringing up the nitrates in the groundwater, machines possibly leaking in it. So now we have all these rock walls from all the rocks they pulled out of the fields back in the day. And now it's grown back with a forest. It's nice that most of this road is nice and shaded because it is hot out. And inside my big high boots, I'm completely drenched already with sweat. It's so hot, I probably should have just came down here without anything. That moss is beautiful. I should have just got into the water. But I guess the big high boots are a good thing in case of the rare chance a beaver might try to bite you. They can bite through that easily, but it's very flappy, so them getting you would be a lower chance. But thankfully there's only a couple beaver attacks every single year, and only one reported death by a beaver, only because it happened to get an artery. All right, everyone, we're finally here. I am now completely drenched in sweat. That was a pretty miserable walk. I have both my hands occupied carrying cameras and the rake and my drink that I can't shoo away all these mosquitoes. I have so many mosquito bites all over my arms now from these stupid mosquitoes. Am I seeing things? I might be seeing things. Or is the entire road gone? There's no triangular grate anymore. Are you serious? Oh my gosh. Look what the beavers did. There's no road anymore. They buried the entire road. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. We're going in there. Even if I flood these boots, I'm gonna go through this. Wow. I'm sure glad I came down here. Let's see what's recognizable. This is where it is, yeah. Right? This is where the triangular rack is. And I'm putting down all my camera stuff because we obviously can't do anything here. Wow. Look at all this water. There's fish in here. I see little lizards. This water is gross. I got a lot of black flies around me. Wow, this is usually where we park right here. The triangular grate is probably, what, 10 feet underwater? This is as big as the big high boots go, so I'm gonna go through the woods right now and try to get over to where I usually park because that's probably not flooded. So I'll leave that stuff there. Yeah, nobody's going through this road. But still, like I said earlier, why exactly would they put a sign up saying you can't walk down here? That makes no sense to me. I've seen roads completely flooded and washed away. They just put an at your own risk sign up so you can drive right up to it. All right, so we're going to higher ground now to get around it. In my brain, I'm like, how is this even possible? Wow. The road is just under like 8 feet of water. Let's see if we can find the gate where we usually park. Is that completely underwater also? I've always pointed out to you guys that there was a giant beaver dam down there, but how did they get the water like 8 feet higher? Their giant, massive beaver lodge is gone, underwater completely. I wonder if it floated away or anything. I see lots of evidence of beavers here on the edge. Where's the gate? Oh my gosh! That gate we usually park in front of is completely underwater. I usually park right here. There's a couple parking spaces. You can park right in front of the gate. I don't know if it had a sign not to block it or not, but there's always enough room for a couple of vehicles otherwise. The gate is completely underwater. You can barely see it. If it wasn't yellow, I don't think I'd be looking at it. So the road is over here, like 8 feet underwater, and the triangular grate is more like 10 feet underwater. This is unbelievable. Over here, I saw something. Is it maybe a turtle or a frog jumped in? Yeah, we can't even get in the water where I wanted to. Usually we're standing on the road right there where the triangular grate is. It's usually right about there, the triangular grate. But now it's 10 feet underwater, completely backed up down here. There's usually a gigantic beaver dam down here. I still don't know how they accomplished this in a month. I guess it's been raining a lot, or a landslide or something blocked this place. I don't know. This water stinks very bad of rotting wood. If it stays like this, they're gonna kill so much of this forest. But I imagine this was all woods back in the day. Humans built the road. Beavers came along and built a smaller pond, and I believe that's why there's so many already skeleton trees out there. Yeah, right now this is just big sheer drop. I could do a cannonball right there if I wanted. I hear some frogs. They're excited about this. Well, that's the road completely flooded out underwater, probably neck deep. This will be interesting to come and visit again in the future. You would not even know there was a road here. You wouldn't even know. Wow. That's justified. Definitely, them shutting down the road. I have just seen things in the past. Roads have been closed for the most ridiculous reason. But, you know, there's always going to be someone who tries driving through this. I don't think anything would get through this unless you had a air intake up high like a military truck has. And once we get to the other side, see that corner right there, the road is very gradual. Whoa, I just stepped into a hole. If it was just a few inches deeper, I would have been flooded there. So I want to take a little walk right now in the woods right here, because I'm curious to see if there's anything left of the beaver lodge. It definitely is 100% underwater, but I mean if we can find evidence that it maybe floated, because this happened pretty fast. And because it happened pretty fast, maybe it floated because it didn't have the chance to become waterlogged. Usually the coastline here is way down there by those trees. This pond has probably tripled in depth. That's the beaver lodge? No, it's not. It's just gone, completely flooded. So this is what beavers are supposed to be doing in the environment. They're supposed to make all these giant brand new ponds, which are heavy. It pushes down into the aquifer and it makes the surrounding forest much healthier, with the sacrifice of a couple trees that were in the water when they flooded it. And this, now that it looks like we're getting into drier patterns for the rest of the summer. Still very rainy, but considerably drier. Naturally, this is supposed to go down, and whatever beaver dam is supposed to have retention capacity for the flooding that usually occurs in late summer or after a drought. But I wonder what is going to have to happen to drain this. I have no idea if it's a landslide, because I think it's amazing that this is flooded so much. But the land is so open and flat, I'm imagining it's the beavers. They must have worked hard to do this. And I don't think they did it overnight, which is also very amazing that nobody saw this happening. And that's why I'm thinking it could have been something else. I really don't know. There's no other roads going down there except that one right there that's very overgrown. And just going down there isn't really going to tell us much. I think this is kind of cool. But it's going to be quite the project building this back. I wonder if the road is damaged at all. Because if this water slowly rose up from something being clogged below the pipe, this road might be not damaged much at all. But if that pipe was clogged by beavers completely, the trash rack, then it's going to be washed out. It's a dirt road if that water was all crossing over it. I think this is literally this might be the biggest flood I've ever come across on a logging road. I think this is the all-time biggest flood I've ever seen. Yep. I think it's even the biggest flood I've ever seen in real life. I visited places after severe floods, but not when it was happening because the roads are all shut down. Leave in the comments your opinions, what you think about this. This is interesting. See if we zoom in down there. This road is supposed to go around a corner. See, the road continues through right here and around the corner. And completely flooded. And you hear those splashing? The beavers know we're here, walking around in their water. That's why they're slapping their tail. They're angry that we're here. And they must be in absolute paradise having this giant flooded area. This must be paradise to these beavers. Well, this was sure awesome to see. Wish I knew it was like this. Should have taken a kayak. Could have borrowed one. I've thought about getting the tiny little wheels that you put on the back of a kayak, so you just have one end of it and you're just carrying it while it's on little wheels on the other end. It kind of turns it into like a little hand truck. I've thought about getting them. Those are pretty cheap. Kayak dolly, I think it's called. That'd be good for going to places like this. But I have no idea how long this is going to be here or what the structural integrity of what's blocking it is even doing. I don't know. I can't say without seeing where it's blocked if it's beavers or not. I don't know. Walking back, I found a culvert pipe. Look at the grass. You can tell the grader blocked it at some point. You can tell an excavator hit it at some point trying to unclog it. But this pipe, it's not really doing anything, is it? Come over to the other side. You can't even notice that there's so many ferns and grass growing over it. And I really don't see how it would even drain into this area. It's got no way out. Unless it's meant to get to this side of the road, which is probable, then it would just have to... Maybe there's a way out way back in there. But that's been clogged for a long while. This year with all the rain, it's so nice. All the white pine trees, which were severely dying last year, this year they're covered in pine cones and they're bright green again. It's awesome. You know, I haven't seen a pine cone in literally a couple years. Most of the trees didn't produce it without the rain. I'm happy that everything's looking so nice and green again. And today, despite it being a hot day, we need it. A lot of the trees are just, at this point, actually becoming overwatered. They need a couple days of bright sunshine to gain energy and dry out a little bit. Same with the garden at home, I was noticing. Look at this, everybody. That toad is so tiny. cute baby toad. It must have just turned into a little toad from its tadpole. It's just tiny. It's smaller than my pinky nail. You know, deep in the woods here, there's a pretty big pond. I never really took notice of it because I'm on foot. When I'm driving by, I guess I'm going by the trees so fast, I can't really tell there's water in there. And this is literally only a couple 100 feet up from right here. This is basically the same exact pond I was seeing from the woods up and around that corner. Basically the same pond. If not, there's a small dam between them. But this here, every time I've unclogged it in the past, the beavers usually don't show up the same night, meaning it's probably not connected. It's probably a small secondary pond. They can go a while. Now I'm walking up here. This goes almost to the top of this hill, a couple 100 feet maybe. This little trickle of water, the groundwater is so high that it's been trickling all year, allowing all this thick iron oxidizing bacteria to grow. And I don't know if you can see it, but at the right angle, it looks like a rainbow from the natural oils in it coming out of the ground from rotting material. But it's slowing down. I can tell this whole thing was full of this. This has been running at about, not here, it's a little dried up, but at this level here, a little bit more for a while because it's been a rainy year. That's what allowed all that to grow. Now that we finally have 2 days that are pretty warm, look, it's no longer pooling there. See all the dead iron bacteria? It's slowly reversing. It's going to keep going. It's a good hot day. Tomorrow we're supposed to get maybe some rain. So we went from a weather pattern, it was like an 80-90% chance of rain every single day, to now 60% at the most. There's still a chance every day, but I honestly think it might be over. I think it's now we're getting into the dry part of the summer. This has been the most active beaver season I've ever seen. There was no shortage this year of uncloggings. Not one bit. So, considering what they have up there, they got to fix this whole road. So, I don't think we're really going to touch this thing today. Although, look how fast we got that to flow. Yeah, they got a lot of work on their hands. This whole thing got to be removed and replaced with a much larger diameter structure if they want that idea to work. Just kicking it, we increased the flow enough that it may even get it off the road because it's barely dribbling over the road. Just kicking that grate, who knows, maybe it'll get it off. But this is going to be a gigantic project for them to clean up, especially down the road there. I think that's actually so hilarious. After years of the DOT logging company, because this road, it has logging going on it sometimes, but it's maintained by the state of Massachusetts. And I think after the state and myself unclogging it for years on end, the beavers finally struck back. They built the biggest dam, because it's been the wettest year, the biggest dam they could, so far away from the road. They built it so tall, it flooded every single access to it with neck-deep water, even deeper in some spots, I'm sure. So now, no heavy machinery, no excavator, nothing can get down there to remove it unless they build another road, or they somehow do it from overhead. I don't know how they're going to clean that up, but I think that's hilarious. The beavers finally bested everybody involved in that. And if that water, if their dam is good, that water is going to stay there and be retained for a very long time. I honestly would not be surprised if this road is not open again this year. I'll come back here when the weather starts getting cooler in the fall, do an update on this here and that massive flood down there. But I'm very not hopeful that this road will be open again this year. I think it's going to be shut down for a very long time just because of the location of the beaver dam. You can't get any piece of machinery near it. So I have no idea how they're going to get this road open again. But that'll be interesting to see in the upcoming months or year. how exactly they deal with this giant issue. You see back here, we already got some colors for fall. Not because fall is anywhere near, it's still July, but because these trees are drowning and are stressed out from all the water. They're turning that color because they're dying, just like they do in the fall when they start dying. Now, I better have something to drink. It's pretty hot out, but I'm actually getting used to the hot weather right now. It was bad walking out here. Walking back was even worse. The majority of the road is uphill, but I adjusted pretty well. I better drink something. The car is right at the top of this hill. It's an easy shot out of here now. In the flood of the road, look at this guy. Maybe we can get him to move again. You see him? There's a crayfish down there. This guy backed up and moved so fast. He's not going to do it for us again. Well, he was over here in the shallow water, partially out of the water, and when I went walking by, reversed so fast, I didn't even know if I was going to see him again. Check it out. Another Massachusetts logging road is gone from all the recent rain. Let's see if this was beavers or not. I see maybe a beaver dam going through there. Here we got the pipe. Yep, completely jammed with beavers, this massive pipe. And it took out the road as a result. Beavers did this. I can tell this pond is a little bit low. Not low, it should be a lot lower if it wasn't for this pipe being blocked. I mean, the dead vegetation, it was higher for a bit before the road got taken out. You can still see a little bit of current coming out of these pipes, but these pipes are nothing we'd want to mess with. They're big enough to walk through with that amount of current. And right here, look at this. It looks like the beaver even tried to dam the washout, but it failed. Ton of water going through here. So I wonder, was this another culvert pipe along with the giant one you could walk through and that just got pushed out? Because I see a culvert right there, an 18-inch one. At this location here, I guess the state made appropriate solutions. I'm amazed the road is not flooded here. It's usually flooded here all the time, even without a rainstorm, because of the beavers. Surprised with this rain, they never had a problem. They have multiple beaver deceivers going out the same way. These ones are a bit bigger, so they seem to work a bit better. This is the place where the road was being washed away by the beaver dam here along it. They dug a ditch and the dam failed a couple times because they undermined it, but the beavers repaired it. Now it's growing in, holding it together better, and I'm amazed there's no issue here this year. The beavers in this area are protected. That's why they're not removed. They try to work with them, so that might make things a bit more difficult with the giant road flood further down there. So, most of the logging roads I travel on in the state of Maine and New Hampshire have posted speed limits, usually 35 or 45 miles an hour. All the loggers, log trucks, they're always going 50 and stuff. You just slow down around corners, you hug the corners. But today on this road, I was probably going about 30, maybe 35, and I got flagged down by a park ranger, and she said, "Do you know how fast you were going?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she said, "Well, you really shouldn't be going more than 15 miles an hour on these roads." Well, I asked, "What's the speed limit?" "There is no speed limit," she said. "It's up to your own judgment." "Then why did you stop me?" It makes no sense whatsoever. But I hope today's video was interesting, everybody. Thanks for watching and have a great day.